Hello, YouTubers. It's AJ coming at you again. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about MMOs, and I'm sure just about everybody that would be watching this channel would know what an MMO is. But just in case you don't, it's a massive multiplayer online game, um, and I've been playing them since pretty much the first one. Uh, the The first one that most people think of is Ultima Online, and I don't believe that's the case. Some people would disagree. I believe the first one was actually a game called Neverwinter Nights, the original Neverwinter Nights. It was actually put out by Strategic Simulations, and it was actually they were partnered with AOL back in the infancy of the internet. And actually, you had to pay for Neverwinter Nights. You had to pay for the time that you were on. You didn't pay. You didn't have like an all-you-can-eat price where you paid like $15 a month and you could play 24/7 if you wanted to. You basically logged on through your dial-up connection, and you play. If you played for 2 hours, they would charge you X amount for 2 hours game time. And I don't remember what the cost was. Somebody might that's watching this might remember, and they can post it in the comments. But I just remember that was the model. That's how it went. And so some people say that wasn't truly an MMO because well, you could log on in with other people and so forth. It wasn't quite massive as our definition is today. But it was an online role-playing game. So that's kind of a topic that's up for debate. But so the one that most people agree is the original one was Ultima Online. It was actually before the original EverQuest, and so I've been playing ever since. I played a little bit of Neverwinter Nights, and then I played Ultima Online, and so forth and so on. The one I played the most was probably Star Wars Galaxies, the original Star Wars Galaxies before they changed it with what they called the Combat Upgrade, and then later they changed it again into the NGE, which stood for New Game Enhancements. And for most of us that played that game, the pre-CU, pre-combat upgrade as you would call it, was the true game. And the reason for that is simply that it was what you would call a sandbox game, wherein that they basically drop you in the game and say in the world and say, make of it what you will. If you want to go out and start learning skills, if you want to go out and start killing stuff, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. They didn't hold your hand. You didn't have the theme park, so to speak, element where you saw you were in the world, and then you saw a guy with a thing over his head, and you said, "Oh, that must be my quest giver," and you went to him, and then that would lead you to the next one. That's a theme park element, and the original Star Wars Galaxies did not have that. It basically started you off in Mos Eisley or Coronet or a city like that, and you basically had some very rudimentary skills, and you just went from there, and you kind of learned as you went, and it was a freaking blast because you felt like you were actually accomplishing things. You were beating challenges because and you didn't have anybody there guiding you through it. And there's a few of you out there that'll remember this if you were a day one player, because I'm not sure how much further it went after day one. But if you're a day one player, you'll remember that there was actually what they call corpse runs in Star Wars Galaxies, where if you died out in the world somewhere, if a creature killed you, your body and all your stuff would be laying there, and you would have to come back, and any player could come along and snatch your stuff off your dead body, unless you got after you respawn. If you were able to make it back first, you could reclaim your stuff. But That didn't last very long. That was probably maybe the first day, maybe the first 2 days. And the reason I remember that so vividly is that I was playing with a buddy of mine, and we were actually in the same room, and I got killed. And I just remember saying, "Hey man, just guard my stuff. Whatever you do, don't let anybody take my stuff until I can get back there." And so I no question about that. And so you don't see those kind of hardcore elements anymore, really, in MMOs. There may be an exception out there. I've played most MMOs. I've tried at least all of them. And if there's something like that still out there, I sure would like to hear about it, because I don't think there is. So anyway, what I wanted to really talk about today on the topic of MMOs is what I call the MMO Conundrum. And the MMO Conundrum in the current state that they're in right now is that really for developers and publishers to meet the demand, the ever-growing demand of the players, it's almost an impossibility. And I mean when developing a new game, and then even with an existing game that's already been out, of trying to keep up with the demand of the players. More specifically, of course, when you're developing one, everybody has different expectations of what they want out of a game. Some people just want to go in and it's pure combat. Other people want to be able to make an impact on the game world itself, and kind of make a name for themselves, a reputation, whether it be as a crafter, whether it be in some games there's politics, and so you could actually make your name as a mayor of your own town, and that kind of goes back to the Star Wars Galaxies thing. I'm sure there's some other ones out there where you can do those types of things. But for a developer to meet all those expectations of all these different types of players to kind of satisfy everybody, it could probably be done, but it would be so expensive and take so long to develop that's where the conundrum comes in. They cannot get the funding from enough funding, advanced funding, before they're starting to make money to really truly develop a game like that. Because I like the crafting aspect of games. I like the idea of being able to open up an armor smith shop and be able to actually, if I want to dedicate myself and go out and find the best resources and the best components and things like that to make better armor than 95% of the rest of the guys on the server. But there's very few games where you can do that now. Most of it is you make a chess piece and everybody else on the server can make the exact same chess piece, and then it's just a matter of who, the auction hall game where you're trying to undercut each other and so forth and so on. Wherein, going back to Star Wars Galaxies again, you could actually go out and all the stats, or excuse me, all the resources in the world had different stats on them, and these resources would rotate and change over time. And so there might be some really good, take for instance aluminum, let's just say. There might be some really good aluminum, and it'd have stats of overall quality out of 1,000 of 980 or something, which is almost perfect. And then there were other stats, heat resistance and things like that, and so you might find some that were close to 1,000 on 2 or 3 different stats, which is about as good as you're going to get. And it might be anywhere on any particular planet, and if you're out trying to find this stuff, you really have to dedicate yourself to go out and try and be the one to discover. It's just like gold mining, going out and trying to find, in real life gold mining, going out and trying to find that vein of gold somewhere, And there was a lot of us that did it. We went out and we'd find the best resources, and we'd make better armor than somebody else, than 95% of the people on the server could make, and we could charge quite a bit for it and make a name for ourselves, to where people would come and seek you out and say, hey, this guy here, if you're looking for really good armor, you got the credits. That was the currency, of course, in the Star Wars universe. And if you got the credits, go see this guy, and he, trust me, he can make the best stuff on the server. And so that's the kind of somebody I read it one time on a forum where somebody said, "Don't give us a game, give us a world for us to experience and to mold ourselves and to impact." And that's again where the conundrum comes in. If they're to try and develop something like that and actually put something like that out, the amount of money and time and pressure that would be on them would be incredible. I don't know if anybody will ever do it. I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic came out, and everybody thought that was going to be a quote WoW killer, World of Warcraft killer, and it's not. It's severely lacking in a lot of things, and I have a max level character, but it's severely lacking in a lot of different things. And now there's the Secret World. I haven't tried the Secret World yet, but it could be severely lacking in certain areas. I don't know. I've heard good things about it, but I don't think that it's going to deliver everything that everybody's looking for. And if that would have been the one that would have been so-called the WoW killer, and they might have if they were to take another 5 years, maybe they could have made one that would satisfy all the different types of players out there that expect different things from their game. But I just don't know if that's ever going to happen. I would love it if it did, but anyway, so I think that's the conundrum that so any of us out there that play MMOs, I think most of you'd agree with me that that's kind of the issue. Even World of Warcraft, as big as it is, it has a lot of people that they're asking for. People have been asking for player housing, and people asking for this and asking for that, and they can't satisfy everybody either. They can satisfy a lot of people, but they can't satisfy everybody. And so I don't know if they're gonna try, or if anybody else is gonna try. But sure would be nice to see if anybody ever does it. So along that same vein, every one of these, I said that I'd talk about an item out of my gaming archives. And so because we're talking about MMOs today, I got my old Ultima Online pin, and I'll hold it up where you guys can see it real good. There we go. And this came with the original version of the game. From what I was one of the first people to, of course I was one of the first people to buy it. That's why I've got such a big stupid collection. But anyway, so that's why I've got that pin, and I've got the box and all the other stuff around here somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. But anyway, so that pin there might be a few of you out there that recognize it or even have one, and it's so that's something that I'll probably wear if I ever do go to a gaming convention or something like that. I'll put it on my hat or something like that. But so just to prove my my MMO cred there, I'll show you my pin so you know I was an Ultima Online player. And then, as always, I'm enjoying a beer while I do this. And today's selection is Red Stripe. It's a Jamaican beer, and it may be the only Jamaican beer. I don't know. Maybe there's other ones, but I had forgotten just how good this is. This is actually a really good beer. It's especially on a hot summer day because it's pretty. It's not a real heavy beer. It's kind of got that crisp, refreshing hit to it when you take a good swig, and as long as it's ice cold, hard to beat. So anyway, cheers, and I'll catch you next time.